What is happening, everybody? Trey here, and today reactions to the classics. We got a awesome top 10 list coming your way. One I'm very much looking forward to. It's going to be the top 10 rap songs of the 1980s. Gonna throw it old school here, y'all. I want to shout out one of our biggest friends, supporters, and patrons of the channel here, Brian, for suggesting your list here for us to go through today, man. I'm really looking forward to diving into some of these groups who I know of, but haven't really dove into their work yet. And, 1980s, man, really the foundational decade of hip hop. In that late 70s, we had a little bit of that foundation, early going, and 80s really built upon that, and to really get that 90s boom, which is kind of as far back with rap that I go, with some of the artists I consistently listen to, obviously your Pac, your Biggies, Wu-Tang, a little bit of Snoop, Outkast. So I'm looking forward to learning here. So let's just get into this. Brian noted, felt like going a little old school this month and attempted to select a top 10 hip hop or rap songs from the 80s. Believe it or not, this old coach could spit a few rhymes and also breakdance back in the day. I get to say that being 51. I can tell y'all right now, man, getting to know Brian over the past however many months or whatever he's been a part of the channel, man. Great dude, and is always open to a lot of music, which he says in his next paragraph here. I love all forms of music, and I enjoy hip hop mostly for its ability to be creative in the ways that were not restricted musically through use of artificial instrumentation and sampling and wonderfully interesting lyrics with songs that spoke both to the lifestyle of the hip-hop culture or to the happenings of everyday life on the streets. He also notes, Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang does not appear on the list, not because it shouldn't, but because the 12-inch single was actually released in 1979 originally. So if you get the comments ready saying, hey man, where's Sugar Hill Gang Rapper's Delight? There's your answer, man. Officially released in 79. But anyways, y'all, let's get into this. I'm going to have the lyrics pulled up for all these. Music will be cut out of the YouTube video due to copyright, but there is a link in the description for you to check out the full-on video, man. So all that to say, let's get rocking, y'all. Let's get rocking and rolling. And we're going to start this off with the only song that isn't on Spotify, as most of their catalog isn't. We're going to go with De La Soul's Me, Myself, and I from their debut record, 3 Feet High and Rising from 1989. Brian noted, looking for the band most responsible for jazz, rap, or alternative hip-hop, this is the group right here, and this highly accessible single. The song has this laid-back, hippie-esque quality to it with sampling from the Ohio Players and Funkadelic. I like me some Funkadelic, man, so I'll be looking forward to this. This album also helped herald the future of hip-hop artists such as A Tribe Called Quest, who are a great group if you've never dug into them, and also Diggable Planets. It was the group's only #1 on the US R&B chart, and it also topped the US Club Play chart. So let's get a little Me, Myself, and I. Kick this thing off strong with De La Soul. Thank you again to Brian, and let's get it, man. All right, De La Soul starting this list off strong. Number 10 here, Me, Myself, and I recognize the hook. It probably been featured in a movie I watched or something along the line. I recognize that, but didn't recognize, the actual verses in the tracks, man. Starting off, obviously the sampling and the beat itself, just iconic, so smooth, man. Just it's one you could just listen to on repeat, just the instrumental itself. But then the guys from De La Soul, man, bringing a nice mix of kind of humor, as well as noting just some of the stuff about their group. I kind of liked in the second verse, saying that always pushing that we formed an image. There's no need to lie when it comes to being a plug one. It's just me, myself, and I. And I was kind of looking here on Genius. They said a trademark of early De La Soul was to make words based on the names plug or De La Soul. So that's why we had a lot of kind of those words in here. That was a bit creative and unique, having, plug this, plug that. And then the next verse, they say, right is wrong when hype is written. On the soul, De La, that is. So yet again, showing that technique of kind of playing off the soul and the De La and the plug and whatnot. I thought that was I thought that was tight, man. And then he says, style is surely our own thing, not the false disguise of showbiz. De La Soul is from the soul, and in fact, I can't deny, strictly from the Dan called Stucky, and from me, myself, and I. They also shout out Q-Tip, who, of course, member of a Tribe Called Quest, which that's the only other group that, you know, I'm really familiar with, kind of in this, you know, this era of alternative hip hop, and I enjoy a lot of their tunes. And you know, De La Soul, I really like the sound of this one, man. And man, hopefully their stuff will be on Spotify soon, and a little bit more easily accessible, because you know, this is just tunes that are timeless, man. Tunes that are timeless. So now we're gonna head over to Spotify, where we'll be rocking for the rest of this list, and we're gonna be going with, I know, one of Brian's favorites, Beastie Boys. Brian was also a DJ for a while there, and interviewed the Beastie Boys, and said that they were really, really nice guys. So that's always good to hear too. I'm not the biggest Beastie Boys fan, but I really only know License to Ill and stuff off that. I've heard from this, as you can see, we're going High Plains Drifter from Paul's Boutique from 1989. Brian noted, while License to Ill had all the commercial success, history has willed out on the side of Paul's Boutique as the much stronger album in terms of creative impact on the genre. Drifter features a full sample of Eagles' Those Shoes, with the back and forth overlaid style of rapping the Beastie Boys were the masters of. A neo-western tale, much in the vein of their previous song, Paul Revere, which I do like Paul Revere. So I know this whole record is famous for just kind of being an expert at sampling here. So I'm curious to see that. So let's get to it. All right, High Plains Drifter, Beastie Boys, which you chose well, Brian. This might be my favorite Beastie Boys track I've ever heard, man. I was so impressed with the storytelling, man. They really they hooked me in just from verse one, and just the use of the sampling, the old school kind of movie references, and especially just the way they were able to, as you were mentioning, Brian, layer those voices start to finish, man. There was never a breath taken, it seemed. Yeah, and starting off kind of with that beat just slowly introduced, man, really thumping. You know, you kind of got ready, being like, all right, what's what do we got in store for us here, man? Highly impressive. As you know, you kind of go through the you get that bad boy image, you know, kind of a bit of the delinquents that you know, kind of the Beastie Boys talked about quite a bit, chasing the girls, doing this, doing that. They're the High Plains Drifter, all right, so you know that they're just gonna be looking to get money and have fun in whatever way they can. I like to bust a Travis Bickle when I feel that I'm getting pushed. Travis Bickle, if you don't know, is a main character in the Martin Scorsese film Taxi Driver, which I would definitely recommend you watch, man. Great 70s film. He's spending a night in a Motel 6, just kind of getting the seediness from the beat, and obviously the lyricism and storytelling that was going on as well. He had to go get some cash flow, you know, money's going down, robs a 7-Eleven, then they just feel like Steve McQueen, man, another cool movie reference. They're out of there, taken on the run from Dirty Harry, a movie I just watched recently for the first time. They take out all these mailboxes, get pulled over. Unfortunately, they get booked, but they are able to get out, and they took the bailiff's wallet, man, went straight to the betting place, and bet on one horse to win and your mother to show. There's a lot of funny lines in here too, and sure enough, that nag came in, brought my ticket to the window, collected my win, and then I broke into my new car, which is just funny because it's like, if it's your new car, you know, obviously you wouldn't have to break into it, but hey, man, Beastie Boys, they got to make do with what they got, with a wire coat hanger, hot wired, hot wheeled, and Susie's a headbanger, finishing with a Ramones reference right there, man. Really cool tune. I was especially for 89, man, that sampling, so impressive, and I think holds up today quite well. So we're gonna go now to number 8, a song I'm familiar with, man. We got Africa Bambaataa with Planet Rock, man, from 1982. Brian says, a wild card song as it doesn't fall into the typical rap genre, but perhaps the prime example of electro rock from the hip-hop culture. I originally owned this as a 12-inch single from Tommy Boy Records, a breakdance favorite heavily influenced by Kraftwerk. Bambaataa had other noteworthy tracks such as Looking for the Perfect Beat and Renegades of Funk, the latter being covered by Rage Against the Machine. A little bit of a backstory on this. We've actually included this song on a song battle with, speaking of Sugar Hill Gang, it was this against Rapper's Delight, so like an OG rap battle there if you want to check that out. The recording of this came together after DJ and producer Baker met with Bambaataa, and the two bonded over the idea of creating a song about their mutual appreciation for the band Kraftwerk. Baker and Bambaataa had worked together previously on a track called Jazzy Sensation, and decided to compose a more electronic-based version of the hip-hop song as opposed to a more disco-oriented work popular at the time. Along with musician John Robbie, the group recorded the single at Intergalactic Studios in New York. Is there a cooler name than that? Robbie duplicated the sound on the record and had Bambaataa's rapper in the Soul Sonic Force rap over it. To create the raps, the lyricist of the group, MC Globe, had to develop a style he called MC Popping, which involved rapping off time, an unusual style at the time. It eventually went gold in the States, the first for the group and the label. And it became later known as that kind of electro type of style. It was listed as one of the best singles by NME in 1982, and has been noted as a very, very influential and the third greatest hip hop song by Rolling Stone magazine as well. So an OG track, man. If you never heard it, man, get ready to groove a little bit too. All right, Planet Rock, Africa, Bambaataa, the Soul Sonic Force, man, bringing it. And this is for 1982, man. I could only imagine kind of listening to this. You can't take yourself back to that time, of course, but obviously it not only has that futuristic sound, kind of with the those electronic samples in it, but it just has that air of just futuristic nature to it, even even to this day a little bit, which I think that's a testament to how great the production on this is in particular. The lines themselves, man, also do a good job of kind of having that call and response. Gotta rock it, don't stop. And, kind of getting that crowd participation as well. I can only imagine how great, this would have been in the clubs back in the day, man. And it works well as, kind of a party type song, works well as, breakdance type song, works well as a song to just, like we were doing here, just kind of honing in on the lyricism and the exquisite production on this, and how influential this song was. We probably can't even track and trace, but it's obviously ridiculously influential for multiple different genres here, and I like the switching up kind of the electronic kind of bridges in a sense, man. They kept switching that up so the song didn't just get monotonous. It was able to be fresh, and I like the delivery of the lyrics as well, man. Just a song that's easy to kind of get behind and groove to, even just from the first time you hear it, instantly recognizable, and it's a legendary tune, man. So now we're going to Strictly Business by EPMD from their record of the same name, Strictly Business in 1988. Their debut album, Brian says, EPMD Hardcore Flow uses a powerful sample of Eric Clapton's version of I Shot the Sheriff to deliver what would become their first charted single of their career, largely overlooked as they were wedged between the gangsta styles of Public Enemy and NWA, and also the pop rap dance hits from the likes of Tone Loc and Rob Bass and Easy Rock. EPMD's Strictly Business is now a cult fave. It was written and produced by the duo. It became, as we said, their first charting single, became a hit on the R&B charts. Although not a huge success when it was released, it has now become a classic, making it onto several best hip-hop songs list. Don't know any EPMD, so let's go. Let's figure this out together, man. We have Eric Sermon, and then we have PMD here, who is Parish Making Dollars. I love that acronym, Parish Smith, who, if I had to choose, man, they were both. This is the most impressed on the list so far I've been of the actual rapping ability. This was really impressive to me, man. PMD in particular, man, I thought brought the absolute heat. I thought the rhyme scheme in that last verse was just fantastic. I don't know what the technical term would be, but rhyming kind of 2 words at the end of each line at the same time, just reacting and subtracting on a sucker MC who mouth keeps on yapping and flapping. I lose my cold, then I'll start slapping and smacking. You want to roll? Then I'll be start jacking and capping, and he just keeps going on with that, man. I love just the intensity of the track as well. The sampling of "I Shot the Sheriff" by Clapton, man. The way they were able to manipulate that and started the song with that was just so engaging and a bit exciting. Like, okay, what do we got? What do we got here? They played off that sheriff theme quite well, I thought, man. And just some hardcore lines in here as well. I pull them all like a 44 Magnum. We mentioned Dirty Harry earlier. It's all connecting, even if it's not meaning to. MC Freeze, stop, look, and listen, and try to imagine. It's traveling the speed of light, but everything's motion. It's frightening. Plus the thought you alone, you now enter dimension called the Twilight Zone. Some cool, again, just shout outs to just pop culture in here as well. Love the beat, man. Really, really enjoyed this. So this one's probably going to end up amongst my favorites when we get to the end there and kind of wrap up. But we're going to keep on keeping on, man. We're going to number 6 here. "Rock the Bells" by LL Cool J. Yes, people. He's not. He was a rapper before being an actor. This is from his record Radio in 1985. Brian said, "Ladies love Cool James. That much is always certain." His debut platinum record Radio was a big hit in '85 for the hip hop community. Third single from the album, which features LL's DJ Cut Creator. The drum machine and turntable action was some of the early staples of 80s hip-hop, and adding Rick Rubin's personal touch in the production, and there's a recipe for success. Love me some Rick Rubin production, man. So Brian said, "This was my favorite track on what I consider a top 20 hip-hop album of all time." This also peaked at 17 on the Hot R&B and Hip-Hop Songs chart. Despite the song's title, no bells can be heard in the album recording. The original version of the song, riddled with bells of various types, including a cowbell, is over 7 minutes long and only released on a 12-inch vinyl. It was based on the '82 song "Breaking Bells" by the Crash Crew. The song was later sampled by LL himself for a song "Mama Said Knock You Out." We're going to be listening to the single version, which is just at 4 minutes. So see what we got. All right, "Rock the Bells," LL Cool J bringing it, man. I think of LL only know, Mama Said Knock You Out. And besides that, I just have never dove into his catalog, man. But you know what? I was impressed, man. He went a little harder than I expected, man. He bodied that track. And the Rick Rubin, production, you could tell his fingerprints were all over this track, man. Especially like the, just kind of sudden stops. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of some of the, later 80s Beastie Boys stuff with the just kind of those loud sounds coming in there and breaking up the beat. I thought that was tight, man. The turntables going in, which was tight, man. And LL just, from the opening line, "LL Cool J is hard as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care who you tell. I excel, they all fell. I'm gonna crack shells, double L must rock the bells." I mean, on top of being some great rhyme scheming in there, I think just sets the tone for this track, man, with that kind of bombastic hard beat going in the back, and you match it with lyrics like this, that you're going to be in for something special. And we had one of the reasons I like hip hop so much is it kind of it shouts out so many different things, and we had that here too. Shouting out Cut Creator, which was tight. Again, a little bit of I would assume some crowd participation back in the day, man. What's my DJ's name? Cut Creator. That was cool. Going in, you're in the mid '80s because he says, "Why do you like Cool J? We like rock and roll because it ain't the glory days with Bruce Springsteen." Obviously. Bruce Springsteen got that song "Glory Days" off Born in the USA, and then the next line, "I'm not a virgin, so I know I'll make Madonna scream." Madonna, big hit, like a virgin. So I thought that was cool. You hated Michael and Prince all the way ever since. If their beats were made of meat, they would have to be mince. Rock the bells. And man, yeah, he just went really really hard on that track. I was impressed, man. I'm gonna have to check this record out. I mean, a lot of these records on here, I'm definitely marking down EPMD's record, Strictly Business, which Brian had already told me about. It's been on my listen to list for ages now, but I'm gonna have to move this and Radio by LL up that list. And now we're gonna go up to number 5 on this list, halfway through, y'all. It's tricky. We got Run DMC from Raising Hell, 1986. Brian says, while many focus on the remake and collaboration with Aerosmith on Walk This Way, my focus was on the album itself as a whole, where the rock elements were built upon from their prior release, King of Rock. It's Tricky uses a fun sample of the Knack's My Sharona, along with tongue-in-cheek lyrics about the difficulties of rapping. It was Run DMC at their very best. Another Rick Rubin produced track. 4 single went to 57 on the top 100 chart, 21 on the R&B chart. Even had some success in the UK. Went to 16th. That's kind of cool. First song we've had on this list that had that across the pond success. And so yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. The Knack sued Run DMC over the track in 06. But the lawsuit was settled out of court, man. That's what you get on a lot of these early hip-hop tunes with, the sampling and whatnot, which is, obviously what a lot of the genre's built off of, and you get these pesky lawsuits. But I'm very familiar with this tune, man. I like it, and let's get it, man. All right, it's Tricky. Probably looking at this, the most famous tune on this list here, or at least in that top 2 or 3 spots, and it's easy to see why. It has that obviously that play being built off of My Sharona, and just kind of in that the beat and production of it. I think it had that crossover sound that rock fans could obviously vibe with a little bit, and have that crossover appeal, which I think is great. And I mean, you gotta just I haven't listened to a lot of Run DMC music in my life. I know a little bit of their story, but not a ton. But I mean, you look at the influence that they had, especially with Aerosmith, and this track, and just kind of crossing over to let's call it like it is, a audience that was wider, with the rock music. And I think that their legacy and influence is just so massive and can't be overstated, man. So I always respect the OGs of whatever genre it is, man. And Run DMC is definitely up there as far as hip hop goes, man. And I mean, as far as the track goes, obviously the chorus I think is the highlight in that production, which again has some of those Rick Rubin and Jam Master Jay kind of fingerprints on it. I think DMC and Rev Run really kind of kill their verses too, man. And we take a track like LL's track, which was a bit more fiery, and was littered with all the pop culture references, and this is and that, and kind of the Strictly Business tune was in that same way, a little bit more hardcore. This was one that you could play anywhere, I think, and I kind of like the almost irony in it about how it's tricky to rock a rhyme that's right on time. They're rhyming while they're telling you it's hard to make a rhyme that sounds good. So I just think that's very impressive, man, and just an iconic track. Can't really say too much more about it, man. And now we're going to number 4, y'all. We got the track Poetry by Boogie Down Productions from their debut Criminal Minded in 1987. Brian said this is one of those songs that epitomizes the lyrical genius of some of the best rappers of the 80s. KRS-One, bar none, to me had the best flow next to Big Daddy Kane and Slick Rick of the time. From their critically acclaimed album Criminal Minded, Poetry is the first start to finish rap song that I could actually perform for my fellow servicemen while in the Air Force. That is tight, man. This album came up as well on Rolling Stone's Top 500 Albums of All Time. I don't believe I'm familiar with this one, at least just off of the name value alone, but let's see what we got. All right, Poetry, Boogie Down Productions, man. We had KRS-One on the mic, DJ Scott LaRock on production there, making the beat, and man, I think by far, no disrespect to any of the other MCs that we've had on the list up to this point, man, but KRS-One, man, he had the best flow. This is the most amount of lyricism that we've had on any track up to this point as well. So many lines coming in. I know I didn't get them all on first listen, man, but this is definitely one I'm gonna be going back to. You could just tell the maturity, the intelligence from KRS on this one, and no pun intended. And there was so many fire lines on this. The beat itself was a bit more, especially coming off of its Tricky and Rock the Bells, a bit more basic in that sense. We really are making use of the turntables, but even so, man, I thought it fit just as a solid backdrop to what KRS was spitting, man. I thought he was just fantastic. The rhyming in particular, man, it just seemed to be at another level. Some internal rhymes, some really multi-syllable rhymes as well. And he knows poetry is the language of imagination. Poetry is a form of positive creation. Difficult, isn't it? The point, you're missing it. Your face is in front of my hand, so I'm dissing it. Just even in those bars right there, man, there's those internal rhymes going in, a lot of different concepts that are picked up from line to line and play off each other. You could just tell. I mean, here, this is only the first song. I've heard the man's name brought up among the best MCs of all time, and it's on me. I haven't dove into his work, but this is definitely encouraging me to do that. It just seems so. You could put this song out today, update the beat just a little bit, and it would be a hit in my opinion, man. It would stand strong even all these years later, and just lovely tune, man. Lovely tune. You did great on that, Brian. And I mean, there's so many lines I want to highlight. I'm just kind of scrolling through here. He says, "It seems you want to be KRS-2. From my point of view, backtrack, stop the attack, because KRS-One means simply one KRS." I thought that was fantastic, man. I loved that, and he kind of brought the heat too as well. I like shouting out to his DJ, and just kind of putting all these sucker MCs in place, as he called it, man. So now we're down to our last three, y'all. We're down to the last three, and we're gonna be going with Straight Outta Compton at number 3 here by NWA. Familiar with this tune off of the album Straight Outta Compton from 1988. Brian said, think for a second just about who was in the group. We got Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, the DOC, MC Ren, and DJ Yella, each and of themselves an important piece of the hip-hop community. Together they were in fact the most important rap act in the latter half of the decade, making the concept of gangster rap a commercially viable one and making NWA and its members household names. 2015, this debuted at number 38 on the Hot 100 as a result of the recent release of the group's film of the same name, and it was the highest debut on the chart that week. It became their first top 40 hit, which is a bit surprising, but you got to remember they were banned from a ton of radio stations in the 80s due to their subject matter. The opening verse is rapped by Ice Cube, MC Ren delivers the second, Eazy-E the third, and Dre does the intro as well as introing Eazy-E's verse. So get ready, y'all. Definitely familiar with this tune. It's an absolute banger, man. Let's get it. All right, man, Straight Outta Compton, obviously an iconic tune, and it's interesting just how Brian put the list, man. We're going from poetry, which was just so lyrically dense here, and but kind of from 1987, and then we go to Straight Outta Compton, which just the year later, man. Obviously, the most intense hardcore song that we've had on this list, man, and I think it still holds up to this day because they were just so out front with their feelings and their thoughts, man. They didn't care if it was if it was going to get them into trouble. They knew it probably was going to get them cause a little bit of a stir, which it obviously did. And it's always funny because it causes a stir with people who usually don't ever even listen to rap, and then they're like, why is this playing, this or that? It's all like, Man, I mean, I don't think NWA made this track for you, you know. So I always laugh at that, man. I'm never been one that ever gets like offended by language or this or that. I know some people do, but it's just telling stories, man, just like a movie would. And I think my favorite verse is probably Ice Cube's, man. He starts it off just so on fire, which I mean, this starts the record. Then we go to F the Police, which follows this up, man. What a 1-2 punch to really just make a name for yourself, man. The Dre production holds up so well. Dre, obviously, man, one of the most iconic and famous producers of all time, and so many of his beats have just held up through the years, and of course going to the Chronic and 2001. A lot of those beats are just some of the most iconic beats in hip hop history, man. The cursing, the violence, the the themes that are coming up in here, man, really paved the way, obviously, for what we got with kind of Wu-Tang Clan, with Pac, with Biggie, with some of the more kind of gangster rap themes that we had in that early and mid 90s period, man. So again, influential, just a killer track that still holds up to this day, with a great beat, with 3 great verses by 3 great MCs, man. And man, just fantastic tune. I can't say anything more about it than that, man. And we're gonna go now to another fantastic track here, throwing it back to 82, throwing it to The Message by the great Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Brian said this early 80s hard-hitting rap song got as high as 62 on the top 100 as it chronicles life on the streets of New York, comparing it to trying to survive in the jungle itself. No longer was hip-hop going to be just party music. It made its way into social commentary, set the stage for the future Boogie Down production and Public Enemy success. Another album I owned as a 12-inch single as well. It was first written in 1980 by Duke Boogie and Melly Mel in response to the 1980 New York City transit strike, which is mentioned in the song's lyrics. It was ranked number 1 track of the year by NME, and ranked in the top 100 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Song of All Time. And in 2002, its first year of archival, it was one of 50 recordings chosen by the Library of Congress to be added to the National Recording Registry, the first hip-hop recording ever to receive this honor. I mean, if those accolades don't speak for themselves, I don't know what will, man. I'm a big fan of this tune. It's been a minute since I've heard it, though, so let's dive in. All right, The Message coming in, man. And even though it's labeled as Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, really, it was just Duke Booty and Melly Mel on this track, man. So they absolutely kill it. The production is just got this odd, timeless quality about it. With I don't know what that synthesizer or whatever's going on. I've heard that same type of that exact same sound and like the whole vaporwave movement. If y'all are familiar with that kind of came up big in the early part of the 2010s, early to mid part. So it's got an iconic beat, iconic chorus, man. Don't push me. I love the cadence that they say that with as well. And I'm trying not to lose my head. And then, then switching it up, going fast, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. And it just is able to set between the beat and then obviously their strong, social commentary of the lyricism. Man, it sets forth that imagery and the setting of the gritty New York City life, and just kind of going through all that. I'm not going to go line by line on it, but a lot of the stuff they talked about, the people that died, the person that got run over by the train, the guy got stabbed and needed a heart transplant, I believe. All that stuff actually happened in the New York City area at that time, man. And then at the end, I think that was the most powerful verse, man, the very, very last verse where, the guy, it says, God is smiling on you, but he's frowning too, because only God knows what you'll go through. You'll grow in the ghetto living second rate, and your eyes will sing a song of deep hate. That desire to kind of get out of that jungle is really at the heart of the message, man. That's one of the messages of the message, which, is multi-layered to be sure, man. And unfortunately, he drops out of school, kind of turns to that urban life, which, obviously, it's talked about in hip hop, so much in the decades that followed this tune, man. But it seems like this track really kind of set that stage for almost that conscious hip hop that, so many of my favorites, like Kendrick Lamar, all these decades later, that foundation is found, I think, in the message here. And so it's so cool to look back at, a track like this, man. And, that ends really, bad. The dude goes into jail, gets abused up in there, ends up hanging himself. And, I think that's just striking, grim image really, sends a message, man. No pun intended. Lovely, lovely track. Absolutely iconic, and not only one of the best hip-hop songs of the 80s, I think just one of the best songs of the 80s in general, man. And we're going to finish it out. It can't be a top 80s list of hip-hop tunes without Chuck D, Flava Flav, Public Enemy, number one, coming in from the iconic record, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. We got Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. This this record holds up to this day. If you've never heard this, I really, really recommend you check it out. We have Bring the Noise on here, Don't Believe the Hype, Louder Than a Bomb. Night of the Living Bassheads is really tight as well. Rebel Without a Pause, and then this track, which comes in at number one. Brian said, largely considered one of the most important rap albums of all time, and has always ranked high on the Rolling Stones Top 500 Albums list. This single, chronicling the imprisonment and subsequent rescue of an African-American draft dodger during the Vietnam War, is a powerhouse even today. The disjunctive nature of Chuck D's rhymes never detract from the hard-hitting message about racial inequality and the general senseless call for patriotism before self-worth. Man, I can't say anything more than that. I thought that was a great write-up, Brian. Built on a high-pitched piano sample from Isaac Hayes' record Hot Buttered Soul from '69. Vocals are mostly led by Chuck D, who's in my top 5 MCs of all time. Man, his flow and it just his anytime he raps, I perk up and listen, man. Flavor Flav does appear in between the verses, though, seemingly speaking to Chuck over the phone. Flavor went into another room and called the studio to achieve this effect. It's a bit of a slower, more melodic beat than other songs on this record. It also samples Little Green Apples by the Escorts and Living for the City by the great Stevie Wonder. After this track, y'all, I'll tell you my favorites and also let you know some honorable mentions that Brian had. Man, I just loved hearing that Isaac Hayes piano sample being riding us out there, man. Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. What an absolute track. I've heard it before, listening to this record, but I don't know if I've ever gone line by line as I've been listening to it. What just a powerful song, man. I said it in the reaction. Chuck D, whenever he gets on a mic, man, I'm stopping whatever I'm doing. I'm putting my phone down and I'm queuing in, man, because gosh, I love his delivery and the power, the enthusiasm, and just the just fire kind of inside him. You can tell when he's spitting these lines, man, he means every single word of them. And I think that's something that sometimes some of the rappers today could take from, man, where you just kind of can't differentiate one song from another, man. They're just they always go in that same type of voice. You never feel what they're saying. Chuck D, man, I always feel what he is saying, and opens it up, kind of what we talked about before. He gets a letter from the government. I opened it and read it. It said they were suckers. That's what I like too, man. Chuck's not afraid to kind of call out the powers that be, the man, and it says they wanted me for their army or whatever. Picture me giving a damn. I said never. Here's a land that never gave a damn about a brother like me and myself, because they never did. Reminds me of the great Muhammad Ali, man, whenever he said, I ain't going over to fight in Vietnam. No Vietnam man ever kind of discriminated against me like so many people have here in the States. And that's a quote that's always stuck with me. And kind of Chuck, I think, picking up that ideal here. And as we get going, he says, and I can never be a veteran. And he gets thrown in jail, got a raw deal, so he's looking for the steel. I like that. Steel, whether that's the steel gun, and also kind of that steel hardened power of himself actually going in. And then he continues to talk about the injustices of the prison system, which is still prevalent today in the African American community, as opposed to dudes that look like me for a lot of times just petty small drug charges or this or that non-violent crimes, where I work in the mental health field, where a lot of the time it's all like, man, these people need just some assistance. And I don't think that putting you in a freaking cell for 5 years is going to be the best way to rehabilitate a lot of these people, man. But I know that's another discussion for another day, but I thought Chuck just shed a lot of great light on this. I like the line, I'm on a tier, so like on like a tier where no tears should ever fall, cell blocked and locked, I never clock it, y'all, cause time and time again, time they got me serving, and to those and to them I'm not a citizen, but ever when I catch a CO sleeping on the job, my plan is to go ahead on the strength. I'm gonna tell you the deal. I got nothing to lose because I'm going for the steal. So story ramps up, man. Kind of fast forward, and he is able to go. Caught a CO sleeping. Was able to kind of bust out. He didn't take the COs out that he could have, except the chick that was kind of by. She tried to run away. She got popped, and they're going, man. Eventually, though, he's able to bust out, followed by 42 brothers, bruised, battered, and scarred, but hard. So I mean, the rhyming in here is just fantastic. Love Chuck D's flow, man. So impressive. And at the end of the day, man, able to get out. The chase is on, but they're gone. They're gone, dude. What a track to end this off, man. And I guess that'll take me now to my favorites wrapping this list up, man. I gotta go with Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos, man. Gotta go The Message. I have to go, we'll go number 10 as well, Me, Myself, and I by De La Soul. I gotta give a shout out to Strictly Business, of course, Straight Outta Compton, Poetry. I'm naming a ton of these. Rock the Bells was great. I mean, there wasn't a song on here I disliked, man. And I think it's really cool to kind of go back to these early roots of hip-hop, man, and see that these songs, man, they still hold up. Sure, some of the beats might be a little dated at certain points, but I mean, the rhymes, the kind of just charisma, it all transfers over, man. And a lot of these songs still stand amongst the best hip-hop songs, in my opinion, that were ever written. So I want to shout out Brian again for bringing this list. Let me know your favorites from this list and favorite albums and songs of hip-hop from the 80s, man, as well. And I guess that'll about wrap it up today. And until next time, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Happy listening, and I'll see you next time.